What's up, everyone? Showdown breakdown time. The Patriots at the Steelers in the Turd Fest of the year. Backup QBs galore going in this one. We're gonna break it down. We got a showdown. It doesn't matter. Money's money, and we're gonna get it. We're gonna get this one figured out. Am I right, Bobbywow?
You're right. Sometimes these crazy turdly slates end up being the most fun for DraftKings FanDuel purposes, so I'm excited.
Lots of pieces that we don't have to pay a lot for on this one, so
yes,
can do a lot. Got to be creative. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about different strategies, different approaches, and whatnot, just to get creative on this one. So, here we go. Showdown breakdown. Let's get right into it here and take a look at these matchups. Now, right off the bat, first thing I always like to look up here is our matchups tool, where you can get a little sense of who's playing, who's getting the snaps, and whatnot. Right? I'm going to make it a little bigger so you can see it on the screen. So, Bobbywow, let's just take me through this. The Steelers, I think, get better with Mitch Trubisky. They lose nothing.
I think they do too. And I at first I thought it was because I was biased. I really liked Mitch when he was in Chicago, but Kenny Pickett's just not a good quarterback. I think in terms of at least stretching the field, like in terms of what we're looking for fantasy production, I think Mitch Trubisky does nothing but improve the Steelers. Now that might not mean a lot, but I think certainly improvement is there, especially for the wide receivers. So I think overall they're a better offense. Yeah.
This idea that both of these teams, are so different from what they've been all year. I'm not buying it. I think the Steelers are better than last week. I'm more interested in their wide receivers and pass catching pieces this week than I would be if Kenny Pickett was playing. So I think it's a net positive for the Steelers to switch. I'll start there. So with Trubisky at the helm, you still have the Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris split going on. The snap share continues to be exactly the same week after week after week. Every once in a while, I guess, Warren will kind of out touch Najee, but more often than not, Najee's the top guy, no?
Yeah, I think so. This offense is a running offense. They're a run-first offense. They want to melt the clock. They want to rest their defense, which is, the way they win games is through their defense. And Warren and Najee are splitting reps, essentially. Najee typically gets a couple more rushing attempts. Warren typically gets a couple more targets in the passing game. So, I think overall they're relatively similar. What we need to pay attention to is Najee's been dealing with a little bit of a knee injury and has not practiced. He didn't practice Tuesday, didn't practice Wednesday.
Okay.
But he's going to play tonight. So clearly whatever it is isn't going to keep him out. As of now, I don't think it will limit him, but a knee injury is always worth paying attention to with running backs. So just have that in the back of your mind.
Re-injury risk or additional injury risk is legit here.
Yeah.
Okay. Wide receivers, there's history with these wide receivers. Like Trubisky and Deontay Johnson have been really good together in the few times that they've played together. There's some stats on this, but he's been really prolifically targeting Deontay in games when they play together. So that's interesting to note. Deontay and Pickens kind of both operating at WR1, WR2. Both of them pretty equal target share on the season. So if we're talking just like any game, it's 50-50.
Yeah, I think, Johnson's probably the higher volume type guy. He's been the guy that's been up around 8, 9, 10 targets more often than Pickens has. And the Trubisky thing is very real. We've talked about it before. Deontay Johnson caught a touchdown pass from Trubisky last week, only his second in the last three and a half seasons.
Yeah.
But, going back to last season, Trubisky started 5 games. And in those 5 games, Deontay Johnson had 51 targets and caught 37 passes. I mean, it is legitimately a thing. There is rapport between those two guys, and we need to pay attention to that tonight.
So if we take the average from last year, you're looking at 7 receptions potentially for Deontay tonight.
Yes.
They also had, I actually think George Pickens fits Mitch Trubisky really well, because Mitch Trubisky he'll just throw bombs, and that's what George Pickens is really good at catching. So I think Pickens is also a good spot here. I love them both tonight. I really do, and I think either one of those can be the nuts play on this slate. The top captain, they're cheap, so I really like it. I think that's the area to go to. How much do we have to account for Allen Robinson and Calvin Austin tonight?
We don't really have to account for them at all, to me. I mean, A-Rob has been really boring. Boring player to boring offense. He doesn't do much, maybe a couple targets, a couple catches, but nothing beyond that. Calvin Austin, he's been more of a gadget guy. Thought he would become more of the WR3, but he hasn't. And he does even less than Robinson at this point. So, I think both those guys, I would actually rather play the Patriots options, pass catching options, that price range rather than A-Rob or Austin. So that's the route I'm going as we go down in price.
I like it. Tight end position, Freiermuth back from injury a couple weeks ago. He's been getting targeted aplenty since he came back.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. He's expensive on DraftKings. Yeah. He's not cheap, but he's doing his thing. He's in play. Really good play on FanDuel to me. But yeah, Patty Fry's in play.
We'll see how much salary even kind of matters today.
Yes, that's a good point.
I haven't like fully gotten to that yet. I haven't gotten to that point of crafting the lineups. I like to do the show first.
It's wacky
if I can, and I really just needed your opinions on a lot of these things before I wanted to dive into it, keeping it real. So I haven't done it, but I assume that some of these salaries we just do whatever we want. It might be a do whatever you want type situation. So we'll get a look. Do I need to worry a lot about like Connor Hayward as well? Hayward's still playing. He's getting a couple targets here and there.
If you're going to worry about one of those guys, it's Hayward, but no, not really. Hayward's a dart throw and MME. Washington's not playing much, now that Freiermuth is back. And I think, as we go down the list here, we'll see a couple more punts at the min price range that are, far more viable than Darnell Washington and Connor Hayward.
Okay. I like it. Let's shift gears to talking about the Patriots, and they switched from Mac Jones to Bailey Zapp last week, going back to Zapp. He was terrible. Yeah. But yet here he is. They're going back to him. Everybody hates Mac Jones on the team. They're going
back to him. This is a Zach Wilson situation to me.
You think
I think Mac Jones is better.
Mac? Yeah.
I think Mac's a better quarterback, but here we are with Bailey Zappi, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I think Mac is better too. Does that mean you think like we could see Mac on the field by the second half?
I don't know. It's Bill Belichick, so who the heck knows what's going to happen? Yeah. I think we have to plan as if Bailey Zappi is going to play the whole game, but frankly, that doesn't mean a ton. They're not that different.
True. Ramondre out, elevating Zeke to the top dog position. He got a bunch of targets last week. You cannot deny that they throw to him.
He's going to be the guy. Zeke will be the guy in this offense. It's just the way that the Patriots operate. It's the way their offense is built. They haven't had an RB3 behind these guys, really, at this point. And we saw last week, I think that gave us a good glimpse. Zeke is going to be the workhorse. He's going to get targets, and he's going to be one of the better plays on the slate.
Yeah, you got to load up on Zeke on this one. It's either no Patriots are going to do anything, or Zeke should have a pretty good performance here. Priced acceptably. Gonna throw to him. 20% target share last week. That was, it's just hard to see this game going down. Now, Zeke had the whole workload last week. It's not like he did anything all that special in the same situation last week at home. But
a similar defense, right? The Chargers are a very similar rushing defense. He put up 12 points, 13 points. That could get it done.
That's what I was going to say.
Salary.
That's where I wanted to go with it. Was like, that might be enough. Like, you just 12s and 14s. That might be the type of scores that we're really trying to get in our nuts lineup. It might not be the nuts captain, but it certainly might be enough. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Jermichael Hasty, do you have him as the top backup? I know Kevin Harris is there, I believe, as well.
I don't think anyone knows who the top backup's going to be. People think it's going to be Hasty. The Dom station thinks it's going to be Hasty. Ty Montgomery is technically the guy behind Zeke on the depth chart. Kevin Harris is potentially going to be elevated from the practice squad. If he's elevated, I think he may leapfrog both those guys.
Yeah,
and
you
get,
never know.
Just as many snaps. So, behind Zeke, it gets sketchy. But, the only thing that we have to look at is Ty Montgomery got 1 carry last week after Ramondre went out. That is not encouraging if you're looking at someone who's going to get, some of the change of pace reps behind Zeke. Hasty was not active. He was a healthy scratch, but that was obviously before Ramondre got hurt. So Hasty has not had a single carry this season. The other guy has not had a single snap on offenses. He hadn't been elevated yet, Kevin Harris. And so it's going to be interesting.
Look at what the audience is doing. Just building lines with Mac just in case. You got Kenny G out here putting Malik Cunningham into lineups. Like, I don't know, YOLO. A lot of YOLO plays on tonight's slate, Bobbywow.
A lot of YOLO. It's gonna be YOLOing all over the place. Yes.
Wide receiver position. So it looks like last week we were hoping for a little Taekwon thunder. Instead, we got Taekwon dropping the easiest touchdown ever. And Devontae Parker with the 37% target share from Bailey Zappi.
Yeah. I mean, Bailey Zappi is comfortable throwing to Devontae Parker. He'll play tonight. He's questionable. He's going to play. I mean, 9 targets is big, but 4 catches, man, that's gross. But look, all the Patriots wide receivers, we have to try and zoom out a little bit because all of these guys are priced down. Okay, this is not a normal pricing for a WR1. Yes, Devontae Parker has not been good. He stinks. I think it's fair to say he stinks. But he's a WR1 and he's priced around 5K. I mean, that's worth keeping in mind as you're building here.
But he stinks. He definitely stinks. Who else? So after a lot of Kenny G likes
it's a Juju revenge game, Geek. That's what everyone's thinking.
I mean, I think we all know about the revenge narrative. I think Juju has revenge on his knees for giving out on him. Like, I don't think all the revenge in the world isn't going to help you. Like, just the deterioration of your skill set is not going to return for 1 week. If Juju was any good, he would have had a good week last week or 3 weeks ago or a month ago. Like, what the hell is the holdup with Juju Smith-Schuster?
The problem is it's not a Bailey Zappi revenge game. And that's what we need for Juju to put up some points. So look, again, with Juju, he's priced under 4K. I mean, look, he doesn't have to do that much to hit value at under 4K. So he's worth some shares, but he's still Juju Smith. He's still the shell of who he was in Pittsburgh. So don't get too excited.
Yeah.
And he's going to be chalky. I think he's going to be chalky tonight, which is chalky Juju's crazy.
I mean, you got to play someone. It's just like you got to play someone. So why not? But I do think defenses and kickers and there are other names. And of course, these Zeke all in and that kind of thing. Let's see how the lineups fill themselves up. But yeah, so maybe it's the tight ends over here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Okay, this is interesting. So Hunter Henry last week, 73% on the season, getting tons of snaps. What's interesting is Mike Gesicki, is he being worked out of this? He hasn't done much this year, but is he out of it? Is he done?
It's hard to say. Like, it's hard to say if maybe he just upset Belichick last week, because outside of last week, he's consistently getting 2 to 3 targets a game. He's not playing very many snaps. You know, he's under 50% snap share, but he's still getting a couple targets a game.
But 48% on the season is not horrible. He was out there last week.
Yeah,
they didn't
and getting targets.
Yeah.
Last week was the bizarre outlier of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. I don't know. I think we kind of play it as if last week was an outlier. But again, you know, he's not doing much even when he is on the field with those targets. So it's tough to get excited about any of these guys.
The third St. Brown brother, Farrow, is the other tight end. He got 50% of the snaps last week.
He did. He is a blocking tight end. He does not catch passes. Although he had a big touchdown catch back in week 1. So I wrote my notes. We'll always have that. I can't imagine that happens again. He likely gets a 0, but yes, he's on the field a bunch.
Yeah, he's no Amon-Ra.
No, he's no sun god or shade god.
He's not even Equanimous.
No.
He's not even the shade god. No. All right. So Bobbywow, we're gonna jump over to the cheat sheet here and kind of break this thing down. Before I do it, I just want to remind everybody we are killing it at DFS Army right now. We are going nonstop. You've got basketball going crazy. Basically, all the sports are going at once. NHL. We've got the Proptimizer going for sleeper, Prize Picks, all those great things. And I really want everybody who's checking this out now. We're coming up on the season of giving, and in my spirit of giving, I would like to give everybody an opportunity to check out DFS Army for free. If you're not subscribed to DFS Army, just go to the DFSarmy.com website. I'm going to show it to you here on the screen. I'm going to show you here on the screen exactly how you're going to do it. I'm even going to go so far as to pull the overlay off so I can show you here. Bobby, you go to DFSarmy.com, you click on the free month offer, right? Just click it. And it's going to show you all these great ways to get a free month or 2 of DFS Army VIP. Covers everything that we do. No one does what we do for this price. It does not exist anywhere else. You don't get an optimizer, projections, research stations, tools, the prize picks optimizer and the sleeper optimizer. All of the things alone are worth the entire value of the sub. We put it all together. I want you guys to check it out. So go to this page right here. You click on free month on the DFSarmy.com website. Check out the offers. You do prize picks, you do sleeper, you make a deposit, $20, $50, whatever you want. Whatever it is. Don't do jock market. I'm worried about them. I think they might be going out of business. Don't do that. We might be dumping those guys. Don't do that one. But sleeper and prize picks are my favorites. Underdog's good. Don't do jock market. None of that. Be careful. We're gonna pull that one soon. But you get a free month of DFS Army VIP. Make a $50 deposit, $100 deposit. Use promo code DFS Army. They double your deposit. You get to play it on Prize Pick Sleeper. Use our Proptimizer tool. It is awesome for those. I've been printing cash, betting NBA every night.
Yes. It's been
printing cash. And I've shown the tickets on Twitter, by the way. I don't watch basketball. I don't watch it at all. None of it. Never. I know nothing about it. Just like, oh, top 3 plays on the Proptimizer. Bet it last night. 2 out of 3. Okay, I'll take that. Nice little profit. And that happens every night. It's like so common. So we're killing it. That works on Prize Picks, works on all these other sites. This is not, if you're a current subscriber to DFS Army and you want to do these things, we can't give you a free month. You're already subscribed here. It's not for current subscribers, but we'll send you a DFS Army swag tee when you do it. Let us know. Let us know in the Discord. Hey, Kev, I signed up for Sleeper. Use code DFS Army. We'll get you DFS Army swag tee. Love that shit too. So anyway, I wanted to mention that before we got to the cheat sheet. You know why?
Well, you know what we need? We need a 10 weeks or 10 days of Geeksmess where you're jumping on a stream, you're doing giveaways for the people that are signing up.
I want to do it. Yeah.
We'll flesh that out after this pod. But
did you see the video? Did you see the video I posted of somebody stealing a Christmas tree off of somebody else's car?
No.
Bobbywow, I don't understand. If it's the Christmas season, guys, all right, let me speak to the people out there. If you're going to buy a Christmas tree for your family and put it up in your home for the Christmas, it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful karma that you do. If you start off the act by stealing it off of somebody else's vehicle, now you're just fucking displaying a stolen tree. Like, if there is worse karma, I feel sorry for that person. You want to put up a stolen tree in your house? You think Santa's going to be thinking you're nice or naughty, motherfucker? You ain't getting shit. And I'm talking about presents. I'm talking about your year next year. Not going to be prosperous. Steal a Christmas tree. Does that shit. What's next? What's next? Steal the money from a fucking homeless person's tip jar? Reach in there, pull the money out? What else are you doing? Does that shit. It's crazy. I posted it on Twitter. I was like, what the hell is this? Who does that? And the worst part, Bobbywow, is they're driving a fancy car. It was like the nice Infinity, that giant one. I don't even know what it's called. I have the smaller one. It's like a giant Infinity. I was like, that's a $70,000 car. You're stealing a Christmas tree. Maybe that's
I could see. You know what I see them going for next? The nativity scene.
Yeah, like what are you going to do?
Jesus and put them in their front yard.
What are you going to do? Sell the baby Jesus on eBay now? What are you doing with that? Why are you stealing him?
That's crazy.
Does this?
Sounds like somebody needs a free month of DFS Army. That's what we need.
Yeah, some people need the free month, man. The season of giving, the happiness. All right. And they're stealing Christmas tree. I'm giving away free months. I want to bring people in for real. The reason we do it is because we think you'll love DFS Army. I love the Discord. Like, if you don't like it, great. See ya. It's easy to cancel, but if you do, you find a community, DFS players. Everybody's hardcore. We win frequently. We train average Joes to be to compete like pros as much as we can. And that's what we have going on. That's why we always post winners, screenshots of our members winning, and it's not just the staff. It's not just Bobbywow. Bobbywow was a member before he was the staff. That's how it goes. You're awesome. You get to be a staffer. That's who we want. All right. Let's talk about potential captains on the slate. Bobbywow, on your sheet. So take me through your favorites, your least favorites. Take me through the captain spot. George Pickens at the top.
Yeah, look, I think we talked about it earlier. George Pickens and Deontay Johnson both in play here. You know, they're not cheap relative to the rest of the slate, but you know, this is cheap for, you know, 2 wide receivers who get a decent amount of volume. So I think both of these guys are in play. With Trubisky under center, I think they get a little bit of a boost. I like going with Deontay Johnson if I had to pick one over the other. I think that Trubisky factor is real and it's there. And I think, it'll be somewhat of a pivot down in ownership would be my guess. So I like Deontay a little bit better, but both these guys in play as two of the better captain options on the slate.
I definitely agree. It looks like we're projecting both of them around 7%. I feel like I'd be double that for both.
Agreed.
Yeah. Beyond and listen, I'm down with your Deontay thing. He's been better with Trubisky for sure, but that could change on a one game. So maybe if I had 30%, let's say I had 30% of my captaincy to allocate to these two guys, maybe I'll go 16, 14. I don't know that I'm going to differentiate that greatly between the two of them. I think.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's crazy. I'm just saying that's how I'm going to get a little more Deontay tonight, but I'll be overweight on both guys.
Yeah, that's fair. Zeke Elliott is the obvious captain play. 20% projection for him. Just makes a lot of sense to play him. Did a ton last week. I don't know if he does have the upside, but I don't know if he's going to hit it. Like, I do think any of these, like the Steeler wide receivers should outscore Zeke if the game is just like a halfway normal game.
Zeke's going to need to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that means the Patriots are going to need to get down the field close to the goal line. That's the way Zeke fails. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he probably doesn't get there tonight.
Listen, when everybody thinks the game is going to be a complete shit stain, I don't think that's you almost have you got to play it for it not. I mean, we just saw it last week. We kind of like this has been the case on these Thursday, like the Thursday game last week. It looked like a stinker on paper, and then it went nuclear, went the exact opposite of everything you would ever expect. And that's what you have to you have to embrace that in the showdown. Like the field all thinks this is a 2 defense, 2 kicker stink fest.
And it could be.
And it definitely could be. I mean, there's a reason but if the field is playing that, then the better way to make money is to say, all right, but what if it's not?
Yeah. Agreed.
Now you're going to say,
I'm all on board with that.
Yeah. Like people are going to say after this, Kevin, you said, what if it's not? And it did turn out to be a stinker and I'm never going to listen to you again. But I hope that I never speak in absolutes when we're talking about breaking down these games, because you never know what's going to happen. What I do know is that if you embrace the less likely outcome and that outcome happens, you're much more likely to win a tournament than you are just kind of going chalk and being right because everybody else is doing that. And then you're right, but you still win shit. So, and you're certainly more likely to win a tournament by yourself, which is the ultimate crown jewel of showdowns, right? A solo.
Yes, absolutely.
I've never achieved the solo.
It's coming.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm always with a little group. I've won these plenty, but it's always with a little group. Can we play Zeke in the captain spot? Yes, definitely. Yeah. He will be the most expensive, the most popular captain play on this slate.
He will. Yeah. I think he's the safest. I think the paths for him to fail are aplenty too. Not only is Zeke doesn't profile as like one of these super heavy usage pass catching guys, although I do think he'll get that role, but Bill Belichick, he does crazy stuff. He'll give other running backs a bunch of carry, a bunch of snaps if they get into a rhythm or if they break a big play. So Zeke is an awesome play. I think he might be the best play on the slate in terms of safety, but his paths to failure are there too.
Yeah, I agree. You got Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren up here on the list. I think, yeah, you're right. Either one of them could get there. We've seen Najee put up 20. We've seen Jaylen Warren put up 20 in this style of game this season. I think 20 points is your goal for your captain. If you can get there, I think you're probably getting the right captain in there. So any one of those guys can do it. Any preference, or you just really hard to differentiate?
It's hard to differentiate. I like Jaylen Warren a little bit more, especially on DraftKings. He's got that higher PPR upside, and Najee is dealing with that lingering knee issue too. So, it kind of helps me account for that a little bit by getting more Warren. But, I think the big thing to note here is it's very rare that we advocate for playing running backs for the same team in the same lineup, especially when they're both priced like RB1s. This is one of those very rare scenarios where both guys could absolutely end up in the optimal lineup together. Yeah. So do not restrict lineups with only one of them.
Yeah, you can't. That would be a big mistake. There's a game flow that there's a way that this game goes where the Steelers just dominate.
Yeah.
Like there's a version of the way this plays out. I quite want to bet on the Steelers tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the spread on this game?
I think it's pretty significant, though. I don't think it's that close. I want to say it's
really
like 5 or 6 points last I checked.
wow.
Maybe
Oh, that's
5 points.
unfortunate. Let me open the Sharp app here and just, I probably should have known this before, but New England -5.5. They did make it tricky. Okay, I need to think about that. I'd like to get it to 3. I don't know how much the Steelers can score, so I might bet this, but I might squeeze it down to 3 for comfort. 2.5.
5.5 would have been enough for the Chargers last week.
Yeah, would have.
And they scored 6 points.
Yeah, that's right. So 5.5. Oof. Like I said, I think I feel better at 3. So I will get this, but it might be part of a little parlay for this weekend. We'll see. All right, let's continue on here. You got Fryermuth. Patty the Muth has never, I think he scored 20 points once in his career.
Yeah, and I think it might have been 2 weeks ago. So again, he could do it. He's really pricey on this slate. I don't love it, but he's one of those guys you get a little different with at captain. Again, a slate where you might not need 20 plus points to be the optimal captain, but he's up there. I think the Steelers defense, this is the first time I put a defense up as captain eligible. I think they're there. The Patriots were so horribly bad last week. And the Steelers have been really, really good on defense across the board.
Yeah,
so,
Steelers defense has a history of putting up a 20-plus score as well. They've done it multiple times. So, yeah, you got to have them. You got to have them in there. Nothing you can do. Don't love having defenses there, but, yeah, and I think you're right. I don't think the Patriots belong here, underdog defense, but I think the Steelers are in play. What about a kicker?
Yeah, I think Boswell's there. Look, the only thing that kept me from putting more guys up there is that the salary just becomes a little bit meaningless at this point. Like Boswell, I would be more in favor of if he was saving a salary somewhere. You get up to this next guy. I don't think we're going to necessarily need that. So yeah, he's totally in play. I think Boswell's a top 4 or 5 play on the slate for sure. I just don't know that he's captain for me.
I was going to say, I would not say that there's no chance Boswell's the highest scoring player.
He could be.
Play, period. Just the highest score is produced by the kicker, because if the kicker gets an 18, how many times have we seen games where no one else gets that?
If he got an 18, yes, the chances of him getting an 18 are pretty low. Possible
though. Steve's talking about some sticks. I'm assuming that sticks is some I know I've heard of sticks, but maybe there's some connection to the city of Pittsburgh and that group, because I feel like if they were playing Renegade in New York for the Jets game, it wouldn't gas us up at all. We would be like, well, who are they and what is that song? Is that some local Pittsburgh thing? They love sticks over there? And the song Renegade? Do you know what that song is?
I don't know the significance with the Steelers. I probably should.
Yeah, I don't know it either. So I just saw it in the comments, figured I should, because I'm like, do people know this? It's a thing that I'm not aware of? Okay. And by the way, this is a big thing with the kickers too, that I want to keep on this, because I love these kickers on a slate like this. When the QB is not very good and you can move the football, or the defense is good, which both of these defenses are, that's when the team is forced to take a field goal. So I think the elevated field goals is a real thing. That is a yeah, they're all saying how do you not know about the song? I don't know anything about the song. So holy shit, there's something going on here that now I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't like
learning experience for Geek and I.
Yeah, I don't know it. But what I will say is, this is a real phenomenon that happens, and it is quantifiable, and you could see it in games when the QBs are less good or the defenses are better. The teams are stopped. They're not able to get in the end zone. They have to take the field goal. And in a low scoring game like this, oh, he doesn't know what it is. I'm like, how do I not?
My heart.
Yeah. I'm like, but when that happens, you just get more field goals being kicked. No team pulls away to the point where you have to oh no, we're going for it on fourth. You're like, no, take the points, right? So they take the points when they can, and the defenses stop the bad quarterback. Zeke doesn't get any end zone. We've seen these games. Kickers have ruined, Chiefs-Bills games too at times with just kicking the field goal every time. But this type of game, it happens frequently. It's repeatable, and it's something that I think you want to count on somewhat. So I love these kickers here for that reason. All right, let's scroll through. I'm going to look at some of these salaries as we're kind of scrolling through the thing. What do you feel? What's your feeling on these two QBs and how much we need exposure wise of them? how do you feel about the QB in general? Like, they're not that expensive. You can afford them. They're both, they're quarterbacks, so they're gonna have a high floor.
They are, and look, I think they're both going to be low owned, relatively speaking, and I understandably so. But like, Mitch Trubisky has shown some legitimate offensive upside before, and he's got Deontay Johnson and George Pickens and Freiermuth are solid weapons. They're not nobodies. So I think Trubisky at 19% flex ownership, that feels too low to me. And
really low.
Knowing you won't need the salary, if he's going to be in that 25% range, I have no issue going up to 35-40% on a guy like Truby. Zappy is a little bit of a different story. Again, we've only seen him play 9 games, so who really knows at the end of the day what he can do? But between recency and matchup, and his roster is decimated, they don't have the same types of weapons the Steelers do. I'm not quite as excited about getting a little leverage on Zappy, but Trubisky, absolutely.
He ran it 4 times last week, so he did attempt to run a couple times. Okay.
Yeah.
How much of the game did he actually play?
I thought he played pretty much. I think he started last week.
Did he? They started Zappy?
I thought
that was
so.
a mid-game switch. Hold on a second.
I think the mid-game switch was the week before.
Was it? Let me see here. No. Yeah, this is week 12. So he didn't play week 13. You're right. It was, I guess they started. Wait. This is a full game worth of stats?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I think they scored 0 points.
Yeah, I mean, this is horrible, right? Yeah, he's really bad. So, look, the chat has figured out the Renegade thing, and it is a Steelers thing.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, apparently, looks like that when the Steelers won the Super Bowl in '79, that's when that song came out, and they adopted it as their team song.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting. That's good to know.
Well, that's more reason to put that bet down on the Steelers. But again, I'm a little nervous laying 5.5. I kind of want to only lay 2.5. I'm going to make that happen. Little alt line. Taekwon dropped a tutty. So yeah, let's get back to this. What about back to the sheet here? So coming off of the QBs, we know we like the Steelers wide receivers. We know we like Zeke Elliott. We know we love the kickers. Both defenses in play, although I would say the Steelers more so. So where are we going with the rest of our lineup? Can we make any sense out of the Patriots wide receiver staff in general? Are you favoring? Are we going back to Taekwon? Were you a week early on that call during tournament tactics last week?
I'm going back to Taekwon again. I think these Patriots wide receivers are all really, really cheap. And the important thing to know about these guys is there's a very clear 3 who are getting all of the snaps. Devontae Parker is getting all the snaps. Juju Smith played 92% of the snaps. Even Tyquan Thornton played 80%. So these guys are on the field, and that's the type of thing we look for first. We're trying to figure out who to roster on a showdown.
Yeah,
that might be more of a tournament play. I think Juju Smith is going to be relatively chalky, and so my thought is I like going down, paying down $400 more on DraftKings, and going to Tyquan Thornton. And look, I was excited about him last week. He flopped on me. He dropped that big pass. But he still checks all the boxes. He's really explosive. He's got that speed. He's playing snaps. He's got that big playability. And I think even more so without Ramondre, I think he's going to get some rushing attempts as well. So I think he'll get some touches, enough to warrant, playing him in tournaments. I like getting leverage on him as the Patriots wide receiver that I'm invested in the most.
It's wild. I mean, to get the leverage, you have to. So I'm looking at ownerships here. Parker, 21%. Juju, the highest at 33. I guess the revenge narrative has got everybody sucked in. And Tyqueezy's down here at 16.3. So he's the lowest owned of the 3. None of them
will be lower than that too.
Yeah, none of them have been any good. So it's not like, and then we get to the real turd zone here. You got turds, you got freaking dart throws, you got dingleberries here. It's pretty gross. Anything stand out to you in this zone that I should be aware of? Even just like make sure you don't forget about Jermichael Hasty, or make sure you get a little time on cover. Who are those guys that are popping for you a little bit here in this zone that I can just not ignore because they got a turd next to the name?
It is only, and I mean only, the Patriots running backs. Those are the guys to concern yourself with. Nobody else. Like for me, from between Thornton, anyone below Thornton, I'm not touching unless it's a Patriots running back. That's my rule.
And so just throw in a little time on, and by the running backs who kind of like, it's a little Ty Montgomery, it's a little Jermichael Hasty, it's a little maybe Kevin Harris if he's called up. It's like, and
we
not,
need to pay attention
more
to
than one of them.
Yeah, we need to pay attention to the Kevin Harris thing. If he's called up, you're going to want some Kevin Harris in your lineups. Ty Montgomery.
Harris, last year, Kevin Harris gets called up after an injury and plays heavy snaps in a game.
He did, and he scored a touchdown. This guy is a power running, but he's a bruiser. And so if he gets called up, expect him to play some snaps. If not, I would definitely rotate Montgomery and Hasty. If Hasty's active at 200, you need some of him in your lineup. So he's not like I don't think he's a cash play. I don't think he's a single entry guy necessarily, but he's definitely someone you want to rotate in. So yeah, keep tabs on the Harris situation. We'll update the Discord as well. But if he plays, I'll have some Kevin Harris. No doubt about that.
I think you also want to make a rule. I wouldn't want more than one of these guys in the same lineup. So for me, I'd probably rule out like Jermichael and Harris / Montgomery in the same lineup. I don't think that's gonna fly on the slate. How do you feel about that?
I agree. I think, to me, if Harris is called up, I think Jermichael Hasty becomes the odd man out. And I could be, I'm just inferring here. But the fact that Hasty hasn't been active all season, if Harris is called up and Hasty's active, to me, that tells me that, Harris is probably going to be the better play over Hasty. And Montgomery, people are forgetting about Montgomery, and he only saw one carry last week, but that guy can catch passes too. So to me, it's Montgomery. And then if Harris gets called up, it's him and Hasty last in the pecking order, but we just got to wait and see.
Absolutely. Manchego is asking if we need to play a QB in the flex for this slate. Probably.
You don't need to do anything on a slate like this. Don't limit yourself, but you'll have the salary to do it. I don't know that I can. I'm not playing much Bailey Zappi. I'll be honest. I'm relatively high on Trubisky though. So
I think Trubisky gets a normal quarterback score in this game. I think he puts up like a normal shit quarterback score, like a 14.
And he can run too. My Trubisky love's coming out right now, but that guy can run. So yeah, I think he could get there for sure.
I love the love, Bobbywow. I love it. Love that you still appreciate the player all these years later. Just because
I was gonna wear his jersey. I thought that went too far. So
yeah, he used to be a Bear, and like instead of having like I have animosity towards my Jets ex like Samwise the Scared. Oh, hate him. Zach Milfson, can't stand him. He's not even an ex-Jet yet, but I'm anticipating that. I don't like
Aaron had his back. Aaron Rodgers had his back, so that that might tell you something.
No, Aaron Rodgers is a nice guy. He just doesn't know how to be. Yeah, he's just a nice guy. Aaron Rodgers doesn't like you if he thinks you're competition to him. You know whose back he didn't have? Jordan Love's. Okay, let's be real about this. Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden is your buddy when you suck. He's like, come on, kiddo, you'll get there one day. And he's just like, yeah, I'm no competition here.
I haven't heard a peep out of Aaron Rodgers about Tim Boyle, so I don't know how much I believe that.
No, because even Tim Boyle is like, listen, bro. Yeah, Tim Boyle never bothered him on the Packers either. Like, he was just like good with those guys. As soon as they brought in Jordan Love, he's like, what's this about? Hey, hold up a second. I don't like that. I'm not helping this kid. My job's not to train anybody. Don't you remember what he would say? I'm not a coach. All of a sudden, he's against you if you're good.
That was Ryan Tannehill, but no, that's fair. That checks out.
It's a bad sign. It's a bad sign if Aaron Rodgers wants to help you, if you're a quarterback on the same team. All right, so let's try to build a lineup, Bobbywow. It is a bad sign.
Look at that chat. I don't even know if I believe that's true. All right, yeah, let's build a lineup.
Here we go. I think the Renegade being sung before the game is worth 2 points at the sports book.
The question is, though, has the sportsbook already factored that in? That's the question we need to be asking.
If they're watching this, they know. They know. The sportsbook always knows. It's always factored in there. They always know before us. All right. Let's build a lineup together. I think the two names that we talked about the most for Captain Pickens, I think it's Pickens, Johnson, Zeke. Well, 3 names. You pick the one that you want to go with for this.
Let's go Deontay Johnson.
All right. I'm going to plug Zeke in the lineup as well.
Okay.
I think you plug Trubisky in the lineup. And now what? Kickers?
I'm going Boz. Yeah.
Okay, the Boz. New England kicker.
He's been bad. Look, I think he's totally playable, but he's been really bad. And Belichick traded up to get to him. Oh, it's been
Dude,
rough.
if this is true,
oh gosh,
DM me the link. That's all I'm saying. Keeping it real. DM. I don't want to publicize any of that. Okay. DM that to me. All right, where were we? Boswell. We got 56.50 per spot left. So from here we could go defense, other kicker and a defense.
Like to me, it's either you're going to go, grab Devontae Parker and then, Pat's D or Hunter Henry, or drop down to a guy like Tyquan Thornton and then up to the Steelers defense.
We can get one in there.
There you go. Or Frymouth. There you go.
That's pretty interesting right there. So here's one version of it, but you did mention a second version that I think I like more in a cashy environment, which would be Steelers defense and kicker number 2.
There you go.
I guess Ryland is the other kicker. This lineup right here, I don't mind it. I think it's a little cashy. I don't think it's going to win the $1.25 million Thursday Night Showdown contest that I used for this example, but I think there's a pretty cashy lineup on the screen.
Yeah. It's high floor, relatively high floor lineup for this type of slate.
I like this. Steelers defense, both kickers, Trubisky, Elliott, Deontay. Again, what do I do after I'm done with that one? Make a Pickens version of it. Do the same thing. Flip it. Those guys are interchangeable. I might do one with Pickens and Deontay in there. Like double down on those guys. So there's a lot of little ways to build. I'm seeing here that I'm not really showing a lot of Najee and Warren, but the reason I think it's hard to choose between those.
It is hard.
Yeah. See, I love that Tyler's been watching the show, and now you experienced a leveling up of your pasta sauce. You're not going back to Prego and Ragu after this. You're not going back to that. It's not the same thing. You know how many ingredients are in Prego? I have one. There are 73 ingredients on the thing. What are you putting in your fucking pasta sauce, bro? It's tomatoes, olive oil, some garlic. What's in there? Ragu got a lot of stuff in there. And tomato sauce wasn't even first on the list. That's what's scary. Why is water the first thing on the list? What's the ratio in this Ragu? Rayo's ain't got no water in it. It's just fucking San Marzano tomatoes. That's it. Grown in Italy.
That's it.
All right, where were we? We built a lineup. I thought that was really nice there for DraftKings. It's a little cashy. Probably something I might use maybe in a cash lineup. And you saw two versions of it, one with Muth and Tyquan, which is a little more tournament-y.
Yep.
And then the kicker's defense, a little more cashy. So how does this translate to FanDuel, Bobbywow?
We got some cheapies on FanDuel. I think it's relatively similar, right? Where we're already pretty high in the running backs on DraftKings. I think FanDuel got Zeke. Zeke is the potentially the top play.
Did you have to hold your nose to put Bailey Zapp in the captain pool?
I did. I actually mentioned holding my nose, I think, in the Zeke notes, but yes, I did.
What did you write about Zappy? Only played 9 NFL games during his young career, so it's hard to know what to expect. Educated guess. I mean, yeah, QBs always belong there.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Warren up here. I think Zeke is the one of the best.
Can you remember the last time you saw a starting quarterback at sub 5% MVP ownership on FanDuel? I don't know that I can.
Yeah, no. I think Mitch Trubisky at 11% is shockingly low.
Yeah,
these guys aren't that good, but the path to a big score for a quarterback on FanDuel is much easier than the wide receivers. And I do like the passing game of the Steelers in this matchup. I just do. So I think Trubisky's a good captain play. I think Zeke is probably a better one.
He's probably the best. I think he's the best, the most obvious. All right, stepping away from this slate for 1 second. Let's step just one step back. If I'm trying to take down a tournament on FanDuel, I am going 60% Mitch Trubisky MVP and 40% Bailey Zappi MVP, and I'm running my lineups like that. That's what I would do. Just seeing Zappy as low as he is, even Trubisky. Those guys have like, I would say the chances of one of them being the MVP is pretty good. I'd say it's probably around 50%. That's where I would put it at
least one of them, yeah. And
that's what I'm doing.
You don't exactly have prominent running backs in this game to take it. The other, but I'm going to throw in another one because I got to.
Yeah, please.
You got to have you could play the kicker there too.
You could play the defense there as well.
You could play a defense. What I want you guys to think about when you're building lineups for this, and we'll go back to FanDuel in a second. We'll look at some cheapies to make it work. But if you're playing on FanDuel, I said this last week and I say it all the time. If you're playing on FanDuel, you really have to think about what is a unique, different way to approach this that the field is not going to do. Because if you play Zeke Elliott, captain at 25% MVP exposure in a giant contest, and again, he's Zeke Elliott. Like, let's understand what we're doing here. We're playing chalk Zeke Elliott, a guy who hasn't put up 20 fantasy points in a game since 1997. And we're going to say, okay, let me just fucking join in with this chalk fest and tie with 1 million people. You'll win the contest. You get the W. And you still lose money on the whole thing. You're like, how did I lose money when I came in first place? That is what happens on FanDuel when you go chalk. So, there it is. Kevin Harris gets elevated.
Okay. Yeah, I think you gotta have some Kevin Harris shares.
Yeah. Okay. Kevin Harris might be. People are asking, like, what's the top turd for Thursday night? Is Kevin Harris the top turd?
Kevin Harris the top turd.
You said it so fast. It's like that is a clear-cut elite turd spot.
As far as min price options go, yeah, he's got the best shot of putting up points. No doubt about it for me.
Okay. Boston Glove apparently loved him today. Boston Globe.
People are talking about Malik Cunningham too, as at the quarterback position.
I'm not buying that.
You certainly could go that route. He doesn't need to put up a bunch of points, but yeah, to me, I don't know. Kevin Harris would be the guy worth taking a risk on.
What's the story with Malik Cunningham? He's just a running quarterback that they are like threatening to bring in the game if Bailey Zappi sucks. Like, what is the issue here with this guy?
He's young. He's got some hope. He was pretty good in college and he's dynamic. Patriots quarterbacks are the opposite of dynamic. Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, they're just hungry for something different. So why not at this point? But I don't see that change happening, until halftime at the earliest. I would be surprised.
Steve's asking an interesting question. What's the difference between FanDuel and DraftKings, and why does it create so many ties? And the reason is because FanDuel does not charge you more for your captain or for your MVP. It's the same salary, unlike DraftKings, which 1.5x is the salary, meaning that on FanDuel, it is a straight decision of who will score the most fantasy points. There's no benefit to picking a 10K guy and putting them in the MVP. There's no savings to the rest of the lineup. The rest of the lineup is exactly the same. And so what it ends up with is a ton of ties, especially if you're using the same MVP. Everybody kind of has the same rest of the salary, and you end up in these massive ties. The way you get away from the tie is by taking the 10K guy or the 9K guy and putting them at MVP, because no one wants to do that, because they're like, why would I play fucking kicker when I'm getting the starting QB or starting running back up here? It seems like to not make sense. So you have to play a ton more there. The Blitz is mentioning a name of a person I've never even heard of as part of this game.
If he does tip my cap, the only guys I'm playing him in price on DraftKings are the Patriots running backs.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's jump back over to the cheat sheet for FanDuel. So again, take me through it. So you love just going Mitch and Bailey as your top dogs.
If I'm trying to take down a tournament, if I'm like zooming out, I'm trying to win the millie, yes, that's who I'm going with, getting leverage there. But yeah, Najee Harris, Warren, Elliott, all those guys are in play. They're great plays.
That is a first place in the tournament type approach. There's other ways to win with Zeke, by the way. If you're going to do the chalky captain, then that's where you got to get crazy in the flex with at least one spot if you're trying to win. And, last, I guess it was Monday, right? I feel like the weeks just, wasn't that yesterday? Monday, we had, a backup wide receiver come in and just go crazy, right? And where did that come from? I don't fucking know. We might never see that again all season, where some random WR5 does that. But speaking of that, NorCal Mike is mentioning Jalen Reagor Seems like the kind of player that can come in off the bench somehow when Parker gets hurt on the third play of this game, which he probably will. And can't say he won't. He might.
Or when TJ Watt rips Juju's head off.
Yeah, one of those two. I mean, Juju's got bad knees. Devontae Parker's the same age as me. Literally, we're born the same year. So at some point, you know, he shouldn't be playing anymore. You shouldn't play into your 40s. It's enough.
Tom Brady would beg to differ.
Yeah, that's fair. But the Globe loved Harris. Okay, I like it. The Globe, the Boston Globe.
Yeah,
Harris came into a game last year and did some serious damage for the Patriots. They played him. They had no problem putting him in the game.
You know what's funny though, just about what you mentioned. I jumped in your channel after the pod and touched on Chase Brown.
Yes.
On Monday. I like Chase Brown a lot. He scored like 10 points, I think. He's put up a bunch of points.
He did great.
But the wide receiver came out of nowhere at Ben Price and put up 16. So yes, you know, to your point.
You dropped a truth nugget in the channel that was awesome. And I was like, ooh, Bobbywow. And I'm like, oh, Bobby mentioned, like, when you come in and make a special note to mention something, you know, I actually like listen to that, and then I'm like, okay, let me get some of this Chase Brown. So I did that. Like Bobbywow mentions it, and I'm like, wow,
he was under 1%. But you know what? This guy at 0.02 or whatever, wide receiver came in and just outscored him, which was crazy. So it can happen. Jalen Reagor, sure, it can happen. Tyquan Thornton's the guy that I like. But yeah, you know, why not?
I think Tyquan is almost a sneaky sleeper on this one as well. Like you could play some Tyquan, go right back to it.
I'll be overweight on him for sure.
Yeah, you go right back to it. Chris Boswell, 4.5 stars. Yeah, I saw on FanDuel you're loading up on these kickers as well. It's going to be very tough for these wide receivers to outscore a kicker who gets 3 field goals. And you kind of think this is a 3 field goals, maybe 4 type scenario for the kickers. So I just, like I said, I think there will be a long, if that does happen, it'll be a difficult path for most of the wide receivers to pass that, especially the Turdley ones.
You probably want to look at a guy like Hunter Henry on FanDuel. He's, you know, 7,500. That's really cheap for a guy that can catch a touchdown. If the Patriots can get there, he's absolutely in play at that price. If there was another guy at 7,500, you know, we got Thornton at 7K, Juju Smith at 8K. So there's some options down here, but yes, go heavy on the kickers. They should have a lot of chances, and the running backs as well.
It's not the greatest. Let me jump over to FanDuel. We'll take a quick look at this slate.
Zeke is cheap on FanDuel.
Is he?
Yes.
Let's see what we got here. So yeah, Trubisky up to everybody's cheap. Wait a minute. Wow. Okay. Here's how we start this off. Mitch, Zeke. You don't have to go. You don't have to pay down, Bobby.
You don't have to go nuts.
Spend it.
No.
So this is even crazier. You can't spend it. You can't spend it. These guys. I mean, if you feel like you needed Najee and Jalen, yes, but beyond that, you cannot spend the salary. I could put Pickens in here. I can get whoever I want. Jalen Warren in there, kicker. That is wild.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So if I went the chalkiest route ever, the Boz. Oh my God, 8,500 for the Boz.
He's so cheap.
What? You can't spend it. All right. And now choose whoever you want. So on FanDuel, actually, I do think you can win solo here because you're leaving a ton of money on the table no matter what you're doing. As a matter of fact, the pathway to the tournament takedown on FanDuel is probably leaving like 4 or 5K, like an insane amount on the table or something. I mean, I think you put in Zappy in this lineup. I don't care that you play both. The only thing missing here is Najee or Warren and their smash game. Who do you think is better, Najee, Warren, or Zappy?
Jeez. Man.
Right?
I don't know. I think it's tough because those guys split. You know, Najee will get, you know, the touches. Warren will get touches. Zappy to me is the GPP guy. He'll be under-owned on FanDuel big time. But all three of those guys.
You can play. I mean, in this lineup approach, you can play. I don't know if I like Ryland here. I mean, it's just very easy to afford whatever you want. Like I've got 2,500 left over still with this lineup, and I've got both starting running backs. I could probably get to Zappy with one of these other spots, and it's fine. Like I think I can get to Bailey. Oh no, I couldn't quite get there here, but you also have Freiermuth. Yeah, it's really interesting. I kind of like the way FanDuel's setting up here. It's fine. I think, especially if you do the Bobbywow special and just load up on the QBs, I think it's even better. If I was doing that approach, Bobby, I'm going to tell you right now, for me personally, if I said I'm just going 100% quarterback at MVP, it would be like 70-30 Mitch to Zach.
Sure. Yeah. I'm probably there at 65-35. Yeah, somewhere in that range.
It would be like that. There's no, I'm not treating those two as equal. I think that
definitely not.
Yeah, I think Mitch is way better, or at least he's shown to be better and more competent. Even just last week when he played for a few snaps.
You don't have to, right? That's the whole beauty behind the FanDuel leverage is Bailey Zappi is going to be 5% projected on right now. You don't have to go 50% on him. You go 30%, you're 6x.
And you're massively over the field. Yeah.
70% with Truby, you're 6x. So I love the idea of getting 6-7x on these guys and going that way. Yep.
This is kind of inspiring me to play. I normally don't play MME on FanDuel. It's kind of inspiring me. I think I kind of want to do it for tonight. I've already got my stuff reserved for DraftKings. I may grab a little FanDuel action tonight. So there we go. Let's, it's so easy to put a lineup together. Like there's 20 different versions I've just already thrown up on the screen. I'm not going to do that any further. I think both defenses are playable. Somebody's asking about Patriots defense. Sure, why not? It's Mitch Trubisky. He's not that good. You could play the Patriots defense too all day. Steelers defense better. They're at home. They're going to be all renegade fired up from the sticks.
Something to keep in mind too, though, is the Patriots. We didn't talk about this as much. The Patriots have been stuffing the run quite a bit. So Najee Harris, Warren, if these guys have a down game and they're splitting the usage there, just something to pay attention to as well. Another plus for Truby. But Patriots in play. And
keep in mind, as you're building lineups for this is the ugliest game of the year. This has been the lowest. This is the lowest. So I actually don't think it will be the ugliest game. I think we have a main slate game that's worse. The Browns game is worse than this one this week. I'd rather play players from this game than Browns Jaguars. How about that?
Woo! There you go.
I think the game's worse. Blue moons and good point. Wait, I've seen talk about blue moons. What? Speaking my language in the chat over there, but basically understand what we're getting into here. A low scoring affair, bad teams, bad offense happening. I don't see a shootout. I don't see like a 50-point total happening. Anything can happen in a game, but I do think that playing it a little different is playing where the offenses are less incompetent than I think what the field will think they're going to be.
Yeah. Field's going to be all over running backs, kickers, and defense. You get over on the quarterbacks and wide receivers, tight ends.
Bobby, give me the final wisdoms for this.
Oh man. I think you're going to want a Patriots running back in your lineup. That's not Zeke. Maybe it's with Zeke as well, but I think you're going to want some Kevin Harris.
Really?
You're going to want some time. I'm going to want some Ty Montgomery. Really like Tyquan Thornton as a GPP, ceiling guy that could put up, a decent amount of points in a hurry at low ownership. And on FanDuel, get invested in those quarterbacks.
I love it. The wisdoms.
Wow. They really gave you a lot of space.
All right, guys. That's going to do it. Showdown breakdown. Patriots Steelers. Back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. for Tournament Tactics, everybody's favorite show. Breaking down the NFL Week 14 main slate. I love doing it. You guys love watching it. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Like button, subscribe. Do the free offer if you're not subscribed currently to DFS. It's free.
It's free.
Do it. It's fucking free. You check out the site. What are you waiting for? You could do that offer right now and then run $7. You could play the nickel on FanDuel and enter a big 150 mass entry tournament tonight. Watch this horrible game with a rooting interest. Already the entertainment value alone was worth it.
We need the Starsky and Hutch. Do it.
Do it
for that.
Do it. There's a do it from there's one of those from like Ben Stiller doing it. Oh yeah. Is that Starsky and Hutch, the Ben Stiller version?
It's a
Yeah,
Starsky and Hutch remake. Yeah.
That I need that. You're gonna get that one. That's coming.
Love it.
I have some other ones. I've got a few that I'm saving for tomorrow because you guys are gonna bring up some crazy shit, and I've got them prepared in my back pocket. Some new clips. So you want to tune in for that as well, guys. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you back here, same time, same station, tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Take care.